Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel Everything About Coding. Now in today's video we're going to take forward the Django project. Today we will design the sign up form, the login form, the CSS that we need. So we are going to create the static folders. We are going to understand the static folders, the templates folder, and we are going to create the views. That is the backend code. So all that we are going to do in today's video. So without wasting any further time, let's begin. So today we will be creating the static and the templates folder. Now there is something to understand about the static and templates folder and how Django basically access the static and the templates folder. We need to understand the structure. So we're going to learn about that in today's video. Then we will understand what exactly is a get and post a request, which is very easy to understand. But if you are a web developer, so definitely you should know about this. And then we are going to create views. Views are basically the code that is the backend code. So whenever the user will access a web page or he's going to post some data, right, we have to do some processing at the backend. So we are going to write the code, that is the Python code for the backend, and those are called as views. So we'll be doing it for the login and the sign up page. Okay, and we are also going to design the HTML for the login and the sign up page, and then we will be giving the URL file. We'll be creating the URL file. That also we are going to learn today. And then finally, we will run the project and we will see whether we can see the login page and the sign up page and if everything is working perfect. Okay, so without wasting time now, we will go to the PyCharm and we are going to understand the static and the templates folder and what exactly it is. So let's switch to PyCharm. So here we are inside the PyCharm, and very important that we need to understand over here is you need to focus over here. That is the project folder that we created, right? So these are the folders and the subfolders of the project. Now, what we need to do is we need to create a static folder and a templates folder. Now, this is okay. If I close everything, this is AI apps, which is the main project folder, right? If I just open that, and inside that we have AI apps with the same name, which has these files. Now we have already discussed about these files, and these are the most important files of Django, where we have the URLs, then WSGI and settings.py. So this is the main files basically, which will help us to, you know, for the client and server architecture. These files are very, very important, right? And settings files basically has all the settings about the project, about the apps, and about everything, in fact, right? So this is the AI apps. And then we have two apps that we created in the previous video. That was AI blog, right? And then the AI post. And right now we are working under AI blog. And what we did is we created this model, if you can remember, and we also migrated this, right? We migrated this model. So this basically gets a table. It gets created as a table inside the DBMS uh, file. So that is SQLite, right? So all that we have learned. Now I will close again. So please understand, this is the AI apps. That's the main project file. Inside that AI apps, that is the all the the main files that we have. And then these are the apps. Again, I'm repeating that because things are going to get confusing at times for you. Okay. What we are going to do now is under the main project app, I will give a right click and I will be creating a directory. Inside this directory, I'll be creating a subdirectory that is static. So let me create that. And here it is. I created a directory that is static. And I'm also going to create one more subdirectory that is templates. Okay, so we have two directories, that is static and templates. And where do we have this? Inside the main, that is the main project folder, that is AI apps. Please understand this. Okay. Now, what is static folder and what is templates folder? Now, static folder is basically going to hold all the CSS file, the JavaScript files, and the images. Okay, so what I can do is I can just give a right click for this on the static subfolder, and inside this again I'm going to create one more subfolder, and that is CSS. Okay, this is a standard structure that we have to create and we have to maintain it. Okay, so I created a CSS folder as you can see over here. Again, I will click on the static and create one more folder, and that is JS. So you can see we have the CSS file and the JS file. So CSS, that is cascading style sheet. Basically, it is used for designing the web page. I mean, designing means basically, okay, how to display things on a web page. That we can do it with the help of CSS and the JavaScript, which is very much required in today's time. We can also create one more subfolder, and that is the images. So what we are going to do is we are going to, create all the CSS file. We are going to store all the CSS file inside the CSS folder. Under the images, we are going to store all the images that are required in the project. Okay. So we are going to create the home page, the index page. So we'll be having a lot of images on our web page, right? All those images will be stored under these images folder. And then we have the JS file, which is going to store all the JavaScript the JavaScript code. Okay. So this is how the structure will look like. And under the templates, what we're going to do is we are going to store the HTML file. So simple. Okay. So this is how it should look like at the beginning. Now, please understand this static folder and templates folder. It is under the main uh, project folder. Okay. And it has to be under this. This particular static and templates folder will be holding the data that is common for all the apps. So we will be storing some HTML files and some CSS file, which will be common for all the apps. That is, currently we have created only two apps, that is AI Post and the AI Blog, and we are working under AI Blog. So the things that are common or will be common for all the apps, that particular CSS and the HTML JS files, we will be keeping under the under static, and the HTML files will be we will be creating under the templates, and this is under the main project file. You need to understand this. Okay, now what happens is Django basically looks for the static the CSS files and the static folder and the templates folder that is under the apps. That is, it is going to look for the AI under the AI block for the static and for the templates folder. But it is not going to find that, right? Because we haven't created anything. So what is going to happen is we need to tell Django that you need to look inside the main project folder, that is the root directory of the project, that is the static and the template. So for that, how to do that is we will go to the we'll open this, go to AI apps, and under that we have the settings.py. Okay, under settings.py, you can see we already have this, that is static underscore URL is equal to static. Can you see that? Okay, it's already been defined over here. So this means that Django is going to look for this particular folder, that is static, inside the app. But what we have done over here is we have created the static that is common for all the apps, and that is under the root directory of the project. That is uh, the main directory of the project, right? So what we need to do over here is we need to tell Django that it has to look under the root directory. So we will say static, and this will be basically, okay, capital, that is static. Okay, static files underscore DRLS. Okay, this is the name, and this is a list. It has to be as it is, okay, exactly with the same name, that is static files underscore DIRS is equal to, that is directories. And inside this, I'm going to type, that is, uh, I will be giving that one element, and that is base dir. Now this base underscore dir is the root directory, and I'm going to tell that you need to have, you need to check for the static under this directory. Okay, so what this is going to do is it is going to tell Django if in case there is no static. Okay, it is going to look for the static folder under the app, but it also has to check for the root directory, and this is how we are going to define it. So now Django is going to check for the root directory. So under the root directory we have, if you see, we have a static folder, right? So from here it is going to collect all that CSS that is required. Okay, so now what we're going to do is, you can see that this is the static folder, and under that we have the CSS. Now under the CSS folder we'll be creating a CSS file. So I'll be just saying that is the standard file name is styles.css, and that is the file that we created, as you can see over here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste the code, that is the CSS code, and that will be this one. Okay, so let me just paste that code just to save time. And this is basically the CSS code which says body. So whatever HTML body that we are going to have, it is going to have a specific background color and a specific font family that we are going to follow. So this is going to be common for all the apps. Okay, and then we have that is a class that is navbar brand. Okay, now this is going to be the menu basically on the website that we have, and so we'll come back to this later. So this is the code. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to uh, okay, create a blog, and inside that blog I'll be placing the code, so you can visit that blog and you can find this code. Okay, as soon as possible I will be trying to create the blog and I will be placing all the code. So if you follow this tutorial the way I am doing it exactly with the same code, you should be able to see the same output that I'm going to see. Okay. So this is the CSS code. And then under the templates folder, we are going to create one HTML file. And the name of this file will be base.html, as you can see over here. So this is going to be the base file. Now this is the default code, but we are going to change that. So this is going to be the base HTML file for all the apps or all the you can say all the web pages. It depends if you really want it that way. Okay, but yeah, we need to have some base HTML file. So this is the base HTML file, and this is going to have the code, and the code will be, okay, the code will be this one. And I'll just delete this and paste this code. Now the first line of code over here is that is load static, because we're going to use the CSS. Remember, we have just created the static folder which has the CSS, right? Now, this is going to be the base.html, and the code exactly has to be this way. First is we're going to load the static folder. And as you can see over here, like the first under the head tab, this is the title. Now, this title basically has, you know, the block title, and it has the percentage sign. Now this is how it has been defined, because we can change the title as and when required of the web page. So this is the base file. So maybe I'm using the base same base file for the other files as well, for the other HTML files, so I can change the title of it. Okay, so using that, okay, and inside that whatever we type, that is the AI blog, I can change that title. Okay, so let us keep things as it is. And the most important that I want to tell you is we are using the Bootstrap 5. Now, what is Bootstrap 5? This is a CSS framework, and so we can directly use the Bootstrap 5. So we don't have to do a lot of coding for every little thing, because everything is done through the Bootstrap. Now, if you really want to visit and see how exactly the Bootstrap website and the entire tutorials are inside that. So I will just show you the Bootstrap website so that you can visit and you can go through it. Okay. So here we are inside the Bootstrap website, and the name of the website is getbootstrap.com. Now you can do a Google search, getbootstrap.com, and you will find the link. You can go to that link, and this is what you will see. As you can see, this is a CSS framework. So this saves a lot of time. Okay, so all the forms, the buttons already will be quite well and professionally designed. So we don't have to do the coding for every little thing. So as you can see, they have said you just need to copy paste the style sheet, that is this particular tag, that is the link tag, inside your head tag before all the style sheets to load our CSS. Okay, so you just need to copy this and you need to paste that. And this is what exactly I have done inside the project. Okay, so just go through it once for your information. Okay, now we go back to the pie chart. So you can see that's the link tag, the same link that I have copy pasted over here, right? And this is the HTML code. And my suggestion is let's not focus on every little line of code over here. What you need to do first is make the things work. I'll be having this code on my blog, so you can copy paste it and just follow exactly the way I'm doing it, and you will get the output. Okay, once you have the output, and then you can slowly try to understand about the name block, how this exactly work. You can also change certain line of code and try to understand the output, why the output has changed, and so on and so forth. Okay, so just take it very slowly. The templates are, this is like a template for you. Just copy paste it and just make the things work first. So we have done with the CSS and we have done with the base.html file. And now what we need to do is, what we are going to do is inside that app, that is the AI blog. Okay, we will be creating the static and the templates folder. Now, as I said, things will be a bit confusing, but as I said, that every app will also have its own static and the templates folder. Okay, because these static and templates folder will be specific to that particular app. Okay, so AI blog will have its own static and template, and AI post will have its own folders. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a right click on the AI blog and I will be creating the directory that is static. Okay, so here it is. We have the static, and then again I'm going to create a directory that is templates. And Django basically looks for the static and the templates folder inside the app, okay, and not in the root directory. But we created the root directory and we told Django that it has to check the root directory as well for the static and the templates, where we are keeping the common code for all the apps. I hope you're getting the idea behind this. Okay, now this static and templates folder is for the AI blog, okay, for this particular app. Similarly, I can also create AI, the same folders for the AI post as well. This is another app, okay? But right now we are working only for the AI blog. Now, what we need to do is inside the static folder. Now, as I have created the common folder static, if I open this, so we have CSS, images, and JS. So obviously you might think that we need to just create those folders, that is CSS, JS, and images, right? But that is not the case. What we need to do is inside the static, we will create a folder and name of the folder will be the same, that is the app AI blog. Now this is a standard procedure that has been used. Okay, and why we need to do this is simply because, okay, every app is going to have the static and the templates folder. So if I have a static file of the AI blog, it will have there will be a naming problem. So if you have a file of a CSS which is same in the other apps itself, so there will be a clash of files. And in that case, what Django is going to do is it is going to take the very first static folder. It is going to access the very first static folder of the first app and not of the other app. So if I'm working with the other app, if I'm working with AI post, right? And I'm having the same structure like static and the CSS file, and the file names are same. So in that case, it will access the CSS from the static folder of the AI blog and not of AI post. But I want it from the AI post. So this confusion will happen. And to avoid that, what we do is we create inside the static, we will be creating one more folder that is AI blog. And inside that, we will be creating that is the CSS file. And maybe we'll create the templates file, right? So CSS and templates. So this is how we have to structure our project. And this is very, very important. This is the base of the Django project, how to structure the entire thing. Now, inside this CSS, obviously, I'm going to create a file that is styles dot styles.css, and here it is. Now I hope you understand. Now this is a styles.css. Also in the main root directory also we have the static folder, and inside that we have the styles.css, but this is under the app, and inside that app we created another folder with the same name, and then we have the CSS. This is done to avoid the confusion. Now I do understand it gets very confusing at times, but once you just practice this, okay, one or two thing or two times or three times, you just delete and create again, you will understand how Django is basically working and how it accesses these files. Okay, and for that reason we have that statics.py where we have specified everything. So we have reached till here, and now what we are going to do is we will be having the login and the sign up forms inside the templates, and that is under the AI blog. Okay, so let's do that. So right click on the templates, and then I'll be creating a directory that is with the same name, that is AI blog. Now this I'm doing it for the same thing because this templates folder will be for all the apps, and then there will be a lot of confusion if we have similar file names with the inside the different apps. Okay, so for that, avoiding that, we will be having under the templates folder AI blog. Okay, and then we will be having the file. So inside that I will be creating a HTML file that is logging.html. As you can see over here, I have just created, and then I will give a right click, and now this menu that I'm looking at, maybe you're not able to see that menu, okay, because I'm not sharing that screen, but yes, that menu gets popped up and you can create the, if you're using PyCharm. So this is how it is. Okay, and then we will be creating the sign up, that is the signup.html. So as you can see, there is a login .html and signup.html. And now I'm going to just copy paste certain code from the another file. So here it is. So this is login. So I'll be pasting the code over here. Okay. And let me do it similarly for the sign up. So I'll be just copying the code and paste it over here. Okay, so here it is. This is the code, and as I said, this code will be available to you on my blog, so you can copy paste it as well. So this, you can see just few things I will explain, that this is the the name blog. So this basically tells that is the curly bracket percentage sign, and this is extends base.html. So what it is going to do is it is going to use the base.html file that is under the root directory. Okay, so inside that we are going to extend that particular file, and again we have a name block, that is a title. Remember there was a title over there also, but over here we are going to change that title, and now the title will be sign up, okay, hyphen AI blog. Okay, that will be the title of the page. And then there is a certain Django code over here, that is if there are any kind of messages, okay, then it is going to display those messages. Now these messages will be maybe there is some error in the form when the user is going to fill up the form, so that messages will be displayed on the form. Okay, all that you will come to know slowly. So this is the code of the sign up, and this is the code of the login. Okay, and this, you can see, this is the form. okay, which will get displayed. Okay, so user will be entering the data in the form. If you look at the form, there will be like the username and there is a password. Okay, there is a two input elements for the username and for the password and the labels. Okay, so slowly you will just get used to this. If you're very new, it never worked, slowly you will understand this. But as I said, first you need to make the things work. Okay, so now we have copied the data, I mean the files, that is we have the login file, we have the sign up file, and now we will move forward. That is we will write the backend code. Okay, that is what happens if somebody will type a URL and then what is going to happen. But as I said before that, we need to understand what is a get request and what is a post request. So let us just understand that and then we will come back. So let us understand the get and post request. Get request is basically whenever we retrieve the data from the server or we request for a web page, right? So for example, if I say https mywebsite.com/my page, right? Any page. So that is a URL. So what we are doing, we are requesting for a particular web page. That request is sent to the server and server will send the data in form of, if it's a form, it's a web page. So if the web page gets displayed, there will be text, there will be video, there will be images. All that data will be coming to your particular computer, right? And you will be seeing that web page in front of you. So that is a get request. So whenever we try to access any web page, any website, so that is a request that we send it to the server, right? That is get a request. Now, what is a post request? Post request is basically, okay, post request is basically on a, when we have a form, we've kind of fill up a form on a online form, right? So we give our details and then we click on the submit button. That is a post request. So what we are doing over here is we are trying to post our data to the server. That is called as a post request. So get request and post request is very simple to understand. Okay. Now that you know what is a get request and a post request, we'll go back to the PyCharm. Now what we are going to do is we will come to this particular file that is under the app, under the AI blog. We have a file that is views.py. Now inside that we'll be keeping all the backend code, but this is a single file and it is not that feasible to keep everything inside the one file. So I'm just going to give a right click and I'm going to delete this file. Okay, now this file is deleted. Now inside that AI blog, the app, okay, I'll be creating a folder, in fact a package, and name of the package will be views. As you can see, I have created this views folder. Now if you are using the PyCharm, you have this facility of creating a folder or a package. If you do not have that, what you need to do is just create a folder that is views folder. And if you open that, okay, we have this file that is underscore underscore init and then again underscore double underscore dot py, right? So you just create a folder and then just create this file with the same name. So this will make views as the package. Okay, so since we have this facility in Django of creating a package, it will create a folder and it will create that file automatically. Okay, now, inside this, what we are going to do is we will be writing the first Python, we'll be creating the file, and that is auth underscore views. Okay. So as you can see, auth underscore views dot py. And this is where we are going to store all the code for the login and for the sign up. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I will just, to save time, I will be copying the code from the another file and I will paste it over here. So this is the code that is the backend code. Now there are many things to understand. Few things like this will be automatically, it will be there if you create a file. If not, this code will be there and you can just copy paste it. Few things that uh, we need to know is that is the render. Okay, that is the function, the render function, and the redirect function. Okay, we're going to see about that. And then what we have is, uh, as you can see, that is from django.contrib.auth, we need to import, that is authenticate, login, and logout. Now, these functions are of Django, which is already done. Okay, this is going to help us to authenticate, to log in, and to log out from the application. Then we are importing one more, that is the Django module, that is the user module, which is already there. I have shown you, accessing the dashboard. And then we are importing the messages, which will be the error messages. We need this. And then what we are doing is from the AI block. Can you see that AI block app? We have the models. Inside that model, if you can see, inside that models, we had created the user profile. We also need that because once the user signs up to our application, so we also have to update the user profile, right? Now this is the function, that is the sign up view, and it will always have this parameter, that is request, because this request will have two things: either it is going to be a get request or a post request. And this is exactly what we are doing. If you can see, we will check if it is a post request. This means the user has filled up the sign up form and then he has clicked on the submit button. So that will be a post request. If it is a post request, then we are going to access the username, the email, the password, and the confirm password fields from that particular form, that the data that was been posted on the server. And we will check if the password and the confirm password, if it does not match. So under that case, what we need to do is, we will be passing a error message, and that is why we require that messages module that we have imported over here. So if the password doesn't match, so the message will be printed on the form that the password doesn't match, right? So over here I'm passing the message that the password do not match. Okay, and then if the password doesn't match, then we are going to use the return statement, and we're going to use the redirect, and then we are saying sign up. Now this sign up, until now it has no meaning. Okay, but once we create the URL, it will get a meaning. So what this is going to do is, it will simply just display the form again with that error message. It will not move forward, it will not sign up the user because the password does not match. And then if this password does not match, then we will redirect. Else what we are going to do is, we are going to check whether the username is already exist. If the user is trying to give a username which is already there in the database, somebody else has taken that username, in that case also we will pass a message that the username already exists, and then again we are going to redirect to sign up. Else what is, now there is no else part, but yes, if this condition doesn't get satisfied, then we will take the user, and then you can see that the user profile dot object we are going to create, that is the model that we created. So we are going to pass that same user. And what is that user? As you can see, the user dot object dot create, and we are passing the username, the email, and the password over here, right? Let me just make it more, give more space. Okay, and then we are using, and then the same for the, we are going to update the user profile. Over here we are updating the user profile, and then this particular function is basically going to log in the user, means technically we are inside the application. This login function is of Django. Please remember that. Over here, see, login and logout and authenticate. These are the Django functions. Okay, so this is the sign up, and if everything goes fine, we're going to redirect the user to the dashboard. Since everything has worked, so we will redirect to the user to the dashboard. Now this dashboard itself doesn't have any meaning. but we'll be creating the dashboard. Right now, we have only created the sign up and the login HTML files. We need to create something for the dashboard as well. Okay, but at this point, we will do that in the next tutorial. And then we will render the template, that is signup.html. Okay. If the user gets on, then this basically what happens is, if we are redirecting it to sign up, so then this is the post request. Okay, but what if it is a get request? So if it is a get request, so obviously this if statement will get skipped and it will directly jump to this particular statement, and it will only, what we are doing is we are rendering the sign up .html file. So this will get displayed in front of the user if it is a get request. Had it been a post request, then it will go through all this, and then at the last, we are rendering the file if it is a get request. Remember that. Okay. So this is how the sign up view is basically working. Now the code for the login. It's the same thing. If it is a post request, then we will take the username. So user, next time the user is going to use the login screen to log in into the account, into the software. So we will take the username and the password this time. And then we will use that authenticate, which is the Django function. And we will authenticate whether the user is basically the part of the website or not. If it is, if it says if user is not none, then we will log in the user and return to the dashboard, right? So it will land to the dashboard. Else, there will be an error message that invalid username or password, and we will redirect again to the login form. And this again we require at the end in case this is a get request. So first time when I use the login form will be displayed. That is the get request. So this is what will get executed. This entire if statement will get skipped because this is for the post request. Please remember that this is how the code is working. And then this is a logout view. Simply we are using the logout function of the Django and we will redirect to login form. Okay. So this is the code. Now comes the very, very important part is we have to create the URLs, right? So let's go ahead and create them. So now what we need to do is right click on the app, that is AI blog, and I'm going to create a file, and name of that, it's a Python file, that is AI blog underscore URLs. And you can see that we created this file. This will be the URL. We are going to define the URL pattern in this particular file. And for that, I'll be simply copy and paste the code, and that is this one. So here it is. Okay, so this is the code. Now it has a standard function that we need to include. We need to import, that is django.urls import path. Okay, we need that function for defining the URL pattern. And then, as you can see over here, from the AI blog dot views, we are importing the auth views. So AI blog, that is referring to the app. Inside that app, we have the package that is views, as you can see over here, right? If I open this, we have the file that is auth underscore views.py, and this is the file that we require, right? So we are importing that, and then you need to create a variable that is URL patterns is equal to, and then the list, and the list has three patterns. Okay, so this is a login URL, that is login slash sign up slash and the logout slash. So the website name slash login. Okay, if the user is sending that request, so that is going to be a get request. So somebody types the website slash the login. So that is what? That is a get request. So if that pattern is used, that URL is used, so it will come over here and it will resolve that for that particular URL, we need to evoke the function that is login underscore views. Now we're not, this is not a function call. We are just passing the address of the function, the reference of the function. There is no opening and closing bracket over here, right? But we are just passing the reference of the function that we need to use this particular function. We are just telling the Django for this pattern, use this function. Okay. So the same for sign up. We are going to use the sign up underscore view, and for the logout underscore view. And now over here, you can see for the login pattern, the URL, I have used the name login. Now this makes a lot of sense now. If you go back to the code that we did, that was uh, auth, right? This one auth underscore views. Now, if you come to the login function, that is login view, inside that you can see this login. Now this has a meaning. Now what it is going to do is redirect to login. That is one word. So we have defined that URL. We will give a very simple name. That is a keyword name. Let me just go back to the URL. So this is like a simple name that we have given to the URL. Now this is just one name. The URL is very small, but at times the URL can be very big and it is very difficult to remember. In that case, we will just give a name to that URL, and this name can be used anywhere we want. So it's very easy to understand and it comes very handy. Now, whenever we say redirect to login, it means it is going to refer to this particular URL. Okay. So this is the URL pattern that we have done. And now this URL, AI block URL, will go to the main URL of the project file. So inside the project file, if you open, this is AI apps, and you can see that is the URL s.py. And we need to include it over here, which I have already done. Okay. So what we have done, you can see that is AI block, which is the app. Inside that app, we have AI blog underscore URL s, the same file. Now, please remember, you need to import the path, which is anyway, we have to do that for defining the URL and the include function as well. If it is not there, please include this function. And then this is how we include the entire URL of the app. So now we have included the URL of the app of the AI blog into the main URL file. Okay. Now comes the next part is, yeah, almost all everything has been done. So now what we need to do is we'll just check if anything is left. Otherwise, we need to test whether this is working or not. Okay. So let us just check everything is done or not, and then we will come back. So let us go to the terminal, and we will type Python manage.py and run server, right? So we need to start the server. If there are any errors, it will show. But as you can see, there are no errors. And we need to just click on this particular the IP number. Okay. So once I click on the IP number, I will just show you what I'm able to see. And that is uh, this one. Okay. So at this point, it is showing you that is page not found, which is completely okay because we have not designed any page as the home page till now. Okay. So it is saying page not found. But if I just give the IP number, after that IP number comes the colon 8000 slash, and then you can use the URL that is the login. The moment I give that, you can see we have the login page in front of us. If I give the sign up, and you can see this is the get request. So what happened is that the code basically just returned it has rendered the HTML file and it has displayed in front of us, right? So we have successfully created the login and the sign up forms. And the next step, what we need to do is we will be creating a dashboard. So if the user will sign up, it has to go to the dashboard. And if the user signs up, then obviously the data has to be stored in the database. So we will see, we have already written that code. So in the next video, we will see whether this actually works when the user will give some data, it works or it doesn't work. That we are going to see in the upcoming video. So I hope that you have enjoyed this tutorial. We have learned many things in this particular video. You need to practice. And as I said, this code will be available to you on my blog, and you can copy paste that particular the codes from that blog. Okay. So if you really feel that I'm really giving you some real content, okay, so please like, subscribe to my channel, and share as much as possible. Thank you so much.